You hit what you aim at. And if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. Zig Ziglar.
Bonjour et bienvenue dans l'expérience millionnaire.
Oui.
We thought we'd class it up because in this episode of Millennial Experiment, we take on the wine world. We are very excited to have the Millennial Wine Group on and take our taste buds on a journey to the often complicated, sometimes simple, classy, and sophisticated universe of fermented grapes. So who and what is the Millennial Wine Group? Matt Ramos and Sean McGee are two native California millennials that moved to Nashville, became sommeliers, pursued their passion for wine, and have accumulated 10,000 followers as Millennial Wine Group on Instagram and started their own podcast. Matt Ramos, born and raised in Thousand Oaks, California, got a degree in business marketing, spent 3 years as a talent agent in LA, like everyone does in LA. Started working in the fine dining industry as a server and began learning about wine. Eventually passed his level 2 sommelier exam, and a few years later ended up as beverage manager at Cane Prime, a top 10 steakhouse in the country.
And Sean McGee, his partner in crime for the Millennial Wine Group, was born and raised just outside of San Francisco. He always worked in the restaurant business and was always very involved with wine. He actually had a 6-month stint in Australia where he worked at a top high-end restaurant. He decided to move to Nashville with his childhood friend to pursue a career in country music. So unique. Immediately got a job at Cane Prime. He has since passed his level 2 sommelier exam. And Sean now assists with the beverage program and remains a veteran server and wine trainer at Cane Prime. Sean and Matt randomly met each other at a wine exam in Atlanta and got to chatting and realized they both lived in Nashville at the time. So they got together. The Millennial Wine Group is about 6 months old in the making, and at this point they are focusing on education and making drinking wine fun with a focus on the millennial generation. So on this podcast, we explore some new wines, some ways we can break our comfort zone on our beverages of choice, and get deep into some wine information. So thank you for listening, and like Matt and Sean say, drink smarter, not harder.
Matt and Sean, thanks for coming on Millennial Experiment. It's good to have you guys. Before we get started and we start popping bottles over here, let me just ask you both a question. You both can answer this in your own unique way. But what do you think of when you hear the word millennial?
Go ahead, Sean. I'll let you start that one.
Oh, man. When I think of millennial, I think good and bad things. I think we are so extremely fortunate to be in relationship to the best technology we've ever had. Like where we've become the furthest. We're the beneficiaries of all this amazing time that we're living in. And there's also a bunch of negative connotations. I mean, you think of I think of college campus protests. I think of social justice warrior kind of stuff. And whether you agree with that or not, that's just it's what comes to mind. The sort of political hotbed that we're in. And obviously I think people think a lot of millennials are very entitled and maybe lazy, this and that, but it's everything. It's like the whole fishbowl.
Yeah. I think we have a lot more access to different things than people haven't had before. And a lot of people don't use those to their advantage. They don't use those advantages that they have to be able to be more successful. And so people look down on us as saying, well, why aren't people taking advantage of these opportunities that they have? Or why aren't people using the technology that they have for good or for better to their career? Where really we look at things just differently than other generations. And so certain generations don't understand the way that we're looking at it or the way that we're utilizing those tools. And so I feel like other generations have a different connotation, a different perception of us that we don't have. And we're looking at things a different way. We're looking at things of how quickly can I make this happen? And how many different resources can I have in order to make this happen, where other generations didn't do that.
And also one last thing, every generation kind of just dumps on the next generation and thinks that they're less grateful and they don't work as hard. And like, if the smartphone was invented in the 50s, everybody would be on it, and it would be the baby boomers who were held to this sort of standard. So I mean, it's progress, and everybody's gonna have an opinion.
True.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's definitely the case. Well, let's get into something that is multi-generational, and that is wine. You guys are the sommeliers, and to give our audience a little perspective, Matt and Sean recommended a few bottles of wine for us to pick up that we are going to taste on the podcast. So you'll hear us slurping and drinking on the podcast. Right. So why don't we start with one of those, your first weapon of choice?
Yeah, we're going to dive into the Riesling first here, guys.
Okay, the
Dr.
Riesling.
Lucen.
That's the one.
So that's the one we're going to do.
Walk us through what we're doing and what we're tasting on our taste buds.
So, if you started developing a nerdist interest in wine, I think you'd find out pretty quick that people within the wine community, especially sommeliers, have an affinity for Riesling for a couple of different reasons. It's so versatile with food. It goes with everything. I remember I went to a Riesling lunch at just like a steakhouse here in town, and I had like a spicy tuna sandwich, like tuna burger sandwich with like guacamole, and it was like this acidic and slightly sweet Riesling, and it went well with everything. It's a kind of a no-brainer sometimes, or it can help you if you're stuck with the pairing.
I think the thing right away that people need to understand that Sean and I talk about all the time with Millennial Wine Group is that acid is what pairs well with food. And to find high acid wines is something that a lot of people don't understand. And Riesling is naturally a high acid grape. And so that's just one of those things that it's, like Sean said, so versatile that a lot of people think of Riesling as like this syrupy, sweet type sticky dessert wine or whatever, but Riesling on its own is just such a crisp, high acid wine that it goes with so many things and is so refreshing. So as you guys are drinking this, hopefully you're not just tasting something that's super sweet, but you're tasting something that's crisp and refreshing and easy drinking and just nice to open up.
I would also say
it's changing my life.
Just very briefly, like it may not be right for every occasion. It'd be right with a certain type of food maybe, or maybe to start off with because it's lighter. But to be aware of that acid, just so that you're kind of aware as you're drinking it. The acid will you'll feel it in the sides of your cheeks, really kind of the same way like as if you were biting into a lemon. You'll get that same kind of like puckering almost feeling. It's subtle, but it's there if you pay attention to it. And we were kind of speaking briefly before we started the podcast about buying power and how you can make some easier, more informed decisions when you're in the wine shop. And I would just say all you have to do really, like, as we taste through these and going forward is just pay attention a little bit to like maybe certain basic elements, and it will make all the difference in the world. It's like trying to get better at your golf swing, just paying a little more attention.
For sure.
Yeah. So as background, Nolan drink, you know a little bit more about wine than I do. I mean, you're not like these guys over here, but
I'm like a step above $2 Chuck.
Step above $2 Chuck at Trader Joe's, yes.
That's pretty much where we are.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So the first question's right. Like, I'm supposed to swirl it and smell it. Everybody knows this. What is that about? Is that a real thing? Do me smelling it help with my tasting, or do I just drink it?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, just drink it and enjoy it. But if you really want to get into it, your smell and your sense of smell is actually 80% of your taste as well. So by smelling the wine, you open up your taste buds, as nerdy as that sounds, to enjoying the wine also. And so it's kind of just part of it in that regard of you get all of these different flavors by smelling a wine, and every wine does smell different. And so, like, for instance, when we smell Riesling, we smell all of this great kind of citrus fruit and this lemon and lime and kind of a peach type element to it. And we get all of those things on the nose. So then that immediately allows your body to taste those types of things also.
Let's do a fun little millennial experiment. Matt had a just shameless plug.
Yeah, I know, right?
So Matt had a great idea that we're gonna do on our own podcast in the future, where we're basically gonna bring our girlfriends on, and we're all gonna taste the same wine, and like we're gonna hear their opinions. You guys can play our girlfriends in this, but like, if you want, I got NorCal.
You're so kind. Thank you.
No, but what we could do is really quickly, just you guys can kind of smell and taste the wine and just give us your 2 cents on what you're getting out of it, and then we can maybe give you our 2 cents on what we get out of it, and it can give both perspectives.
All right, Corey, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm I'm smelling this thing, and I don't even know what to say. I can't even, like, there's nothing, like, as I smell this, my brain is not triggering like, oh, that smells like peaches or whatever you just said. Seriously, it's just
As
do I need to spin? Do I need to spin?
I was gonna say, as nerdy as it sounds, really what you're doing is you're bringing some oxygen into the wine, and it's helping to release a little more of the aroma of the wine without, once again,
I
being
can see
too
that a
cheesy
little
about
bit
it.
now.
Yeah.
I can see that a little bit. Yeah.
But if you really think it through, and just like this wine, for instance, should be really citrusy and should be high acid. So if you think through in your head, like, what does Meyer lemon smell like? And then you smell this wine, you have that image in your head, then that will appear inside of the wine, as weird as that says.
There's also
that
go ahead. Sorry,
it is citrusy, but I would say, I mean, it tastes more sweet to me. I mean, I do taste the citrus, but it's sweet too, so that's actually kind of unique. It seems like to me.
Here's an element that might help too. And a lot of times in a Riesling, you'll have a big aromatic quality, like an aromatic flower quality. So, like, imagine walking through, it's springtime or whatever, and there's a bunch of flowers in your front yard, or maybe in the park if you're walking through, and it smells very floral. Like, I think that you could definitely kind of put your nose in this glass and be like, oh, it kind of smells like I'm at the park a little bit.
Oh, that is definitely
That's
pretty
weird.
exciting. That is exactly
Playing
what I'm
mind tricks
getting.
on me, dude. Playing mind tricks.
Mind tricks.
This is actually, I've tasted a few Rieslings before. This is actually more drier to me, not as sweet than the other Rieslings, but it's definitely, when you said the lemon, I can definitely smell that.
Yeah.
And one thing I think about too is that when I have like a spicier food, like you were saying, like a curry, wine doesn't like come to mind when I'm eating curry, because this is so spicy. I'm like, wine does not sound good at all. But I could totally see this. This is definitely being paired with my wife's curry for sure.
Some of the best pairings you can do are like really like cheap takeout Chinese, like spicy kung pao chicken or Thai food or Indian food. And I'm telling you, Riesling is like your go-to. It's going to pair so well. Okay. It's like that sweet's going to counteract the spicy. It's like the cheaper the food sometime, the better, just because if you have a lot of fat in the food, the acid's going to go so well with it. So like, honestly, like you could have a cheeseburger with it and you'd be like, this is like one of the best pairings I've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, this is good though. Really, I mean, I don't even think I really ever drink white wine, but that's good. Oh, and by the way, these were like what? How much were they? Like $10, $12, I think, something like that. So they're not. I mean, these are not. The sommeliers coming here like about $50 bottle of wine. It's not like that.
Check the alcohol level on that bottle too. It should be like between like 8 and 9% probably, which means you could probably go jogging while drinking this and you'd be all right.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
7.5. Mine says.
Yeah,
I'm not going to work
The big
tomorrow.
thing that we're all about is that you can find, as long as you know what you're looking for and you put a little bit of effort into it, you can find great wine for a great value as well. Most of the wine that the two of us buy is between $10 and $15, and so everybody thinks that Soms buy wine that are hundreds of dollars.
Yeah,
exactly. But as long as you know what you're looking for and you can put just a minute of thought into it and say, I like this sort of flavor, so I'm going to buy this type of wine, you can find things for $10 that you're going to love.
Nice. Well, we'll keep drinking while we do this, but tell us the reason behind the name. You got Millennial Wine Group, so you guys are obviously the sommeliers. Why Millennial? What are you trying to achieve with that?
Sean came up with that name, but I think the idea, as far as I consider behind it, is the idea is we are millennials, the two of us. We're both in that kind of generation, but we're also very diverse and indulged into the wine culture. And we feel like there is a big kind of misconnection and just a misconception between millennials and wine. Everybody thinks that wine is such a high-end, fancy businessman, have to be spending thousands, hundreds of dollars on it, where we all drink wine and we all love wine. And millennials consume over 50% of the wine in America now. And so there's just a huge misconception between why we drink wine and why we enjoy it. And we felt that we can kind of get in the middle of that conversation and say, like I was saying before, if you put just a little bit of thought into what you're doing, you can enjoy it that much more.
Yeah. We wanted to start a company where we could bring, where we could connect with people that had the same interests with us. And it's not like, the great thing is, we're smart enough to know how dumb we are in the scheme of things, kind of jokingly, but, you'll never know everything. There's plenty of people out there that know more than us, but we definitely, we felt like we had enough knowledge between us where we could help at least maybe people make a few educated or slightly better decisions and help just enhance their wine drinking experience. And I was really surprised that nobody out there had conjoined basically Millennial with wine, where at this point we consume, I think, something like almost 60% of the market. So it's like a no-brainer. I was like, why isn't nobody just talking about this? Everybody that in our age bracket is just crushing wine right now, basically. So we went for it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's something I was a little shocked by, is thinking like we're consuming that much wine. I mean, you just think of, when you think of wine, you think of some, I don't know, I just think of my parents just wine, like, you know. But I love drinking wine. But millennials are like, we're all about starting a movement, having impact, having influence, creating purpose. You two are two millennials from California who moved out to Nashville, and you guys are trying to start your own movement out there. Just tell us a little bit about that and what's driving you, and you know, bringing wine to a place that's not really known for wine. I mean, coming from California, where it's just a wine mecca, right? What's driving you guys?
Yeah, I think something that's helped us both out is that we're pretty indulged in the restaurant scene in Nashville, and it's a growing market as well. And so people here are willing to learn and willing to educate themselves. And like, I'm from Los Angeles, Sean's from San Francisco. And so those are markets that are already established, where the Nashville market is growing, and we're able to kind of be at the forefront of that market. And so people here are wanting to better themselves and wanting to know more, and what sort of wine do I have with this cuisine? And so if they're wanting to learn and wanting to indulge in more, we're able to be at the beginning of that and say, this is what you should have, and we can shape this market and kind of get in front of that whole movement.
I honestly think ultimately it was just an accident. The city's growing. I know it sounds funny, but like I came here.
Isn't that life though?
It's life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was a happy accident. Like Matt and I met at actually our sommelier exam, and we were like sitting in the waiting room ready to go in for a portion of the test, and we just started like, you know, BSing, and we realized we both basically worked like a quarter mile from each other at two different restaurants in Nashville. And so it's just funny that like I came to Nashville for music, like people do, no intention of going down a wine path. I'd always worked in restaurants, and I developed an interest in wine. It was like just a fun little hobby of mine. And then really like kind of consumed me in the end. But this city, when we both moved here, I've been here for like 5 years. You've been here, what, 3?
3.
It's growing to the point, like, it's kind of, you know, a cliche to talk about it here because it's on everybody's mind, but it's literally cranes building cranes. I think 100 people a day or more are moving here. Wow. And so to be a part of this like explosive growth for a B market city, I mean, obviously it's not the size of like New York or San Francisco or LA. It's just kind of just like mind blowing and especially to kind of be to get in early on with what we're doing. So.
Yeah. So you mentioned creating a company around the millennials and wine. So what are the goals with the Millennial Wine Group? I know we talked originally. You guys actually currently do pairings. If you needed that, you sell like a pairing list of food and wine. So what are the goals with the Millennial Wine Group?
I think for us, it's just still trying to figure out what it is. Almost is we're trying to reach out to millennials. We're trying to educate people, but we're also just trying to be entertaining. We're trying to entertain ourselves, and it's. If we can find people who don't know much about wine, like you were just saying, Corey, like you don't drink white wine, but you just had that wine and you enjoyed it. That for me,
it's good.
That for me is a victory. Where it's if I can find somebody who thinks they don't like something, and I can find something of that regard that they enjoy, and I can change their opinion on that and show them why maybe they should reach out and try more things. That for me is a victory. And so for the time being, it's just really trying to grow what we're doing and educate people who are our age, but maybe just don't have that much of an understanding of what they're doing as far as wine and cocktails and spirits go.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. The people focus and like having those small victories. I mean, that says a lot of what, you know, millennials try to have these big pictures, but you know, that one person at a time where you start changing or giving them a new way of thinking or a new idea, like that's where it starts, right? Movements start like that. So
true.
Yeah.
Are we doing number 2?
Yeah, let's do number 2.
I finished my glass.
What are we rolling on to next?
I'm so proud of you.
You tell me. You tell me.
You're such a,
So nice.
you're drinking smart. So we have this slogan, I guess, or whatever mantra that it's kind of a joke because it's it's sort of tongue in cheek, but
It's good though.
But it's true though. We started saying like one day it just kind of popped in our heads, and we always try to tell people to drink smarter, not harder. We always kind of tag it at the end of everything. And if you can get past the kind of the joking aspect of it, it's true. It's like you can make a few small decisions and really enjoy yourself. But yeah, we're gonna be enjoying a Rioja now. So Tempranillo is gonna be the grape. And this is gonna.
So the
Tempranillo is going to be the grape.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that means on there.
We're gonna do the Vina Zacca next. Yeah. Sean, you're gonna have to pull this.
2014 series. That's what I got. I don't know what you got, Nolan.
That's
let
right.
me open this. I gotta wait. What do you mean? I got the same
It
one.
says
2012.
2014. What?
Who's got a 2012? Where's this high end shop you're buying at?
Vintage.
Over here. So this bottle was dusted off the shelves of Total Wine and More.
How much did you pay for that bottle there? If you don't mind me asking.
It was
It's like 12.
$13.99.
Such a good value. Like we really, all three of these wines we're drinking today are like you're paying under $15, and they're drinking like champions right now. So,
But don't try to do what I did, because I went to the store and I went straight to the manager. I was like, look, let's be honest. Let's go to your best selection. Where is that at? And he took me down to the cellars. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I can't open this, so let me.
screw top, baby.
Yeah, Nolan, that should be a screw
some
top,
push-ups.
man.
Put some muscle in that. You got that.
That explains why the cork wasn't working.
I've been trying to put this
Okay, I
corkscrew
got-
through metal for the last hour, and it's just not happening.
No joke. This is such an honest moment. I seriously did that one time, and I feel like such an idiot. Okay, here we go. Pouring into the audio.
But okay, so one of the reasons why we chose these red wines to taste with you guys is I feel like a lot of people drink, like Cabernet or Merlot or Pinot Noir, but there's other grapes in the world from other places in the world that are so phenomenal and that you can find at such better values that we wanted to kind of taste through a few of those and really show you guys and then all of the listeners really something that they might be able to reach out to that they don't know of so far.
That spot's perfect. Okay, give me my setting.
All right.
I'm your girlfriend. Where am I?
So, all right, baby. Go ahead and just take a little whiff of this. But basically, like kind of like a benchmark of Rioja. Sometimes people will say that you can almost get like a sweet and sour sauce, like once again Chinese takeout. But what I typically get is a lot of red fruit, like a lot of ripe kind of raspberry and cherry. Very fruit
I'm thinking
forward.
the red fruit.
They age this wine. This is the nerdiest we'll go, but they age this wine typically in American oak, and like a hallmark of that would be coconut and dill. So sometimes you can open up Rioja and you get like a ton of coconut on the nose of it because of the oak that they age it in. But it's so easy to drink, and it's just like it's great by itself. It's great with food. It doesn't cost you much money. It's just like that perfect medium-bodied red
delicious.
wine.
So just to give a little bit of background real quick, Rioja, that's a region in Spain. So we were saying Tempranillo before. Tempranillo is the grape that Rioja is made with. Rioja is a region in Spain. So this is a red wine coming from Spain. A lot of people don't know of it because the region's kind of small, but it's such a phenomenal wine, so easy drinking. Like you can have it with food or without food. It doesn't have that harsh of tannin, so you can just kind of drink it on its own. You just pop open a bottle.
It's good.
Yeah, it's really just kind of easy drinking.
Yeah. So basically,
This is so good. I'm blushing right now. This is amazing.
Good. Yeah, no, Rioja, like, once again, I would just on your own time too, if you like it, like, explore a little bit. Like, you could spend, if you spent $40, like, if you really splurged, you probably have one of the best bottles of wine in your life. And it would be, I'm just meaning in the way that, like, there's such good value there that if you were to actually spend a little bit more money, you can get some phenomenal wines, just because you can get such great wine under $20 from Rioja. So one of our like easy go-tos for like entertaining, it's a crowd pleaser. So nothing wrong with that.
This is true.
Let me just pause for a second before I describe the amazingness that's happening on my taste buds right now. Part of this millennial experiment that we're trying to do is getting people to try new things. And wine, if you don't like wine, I just feel like that's kind of an ignorant statement, right? Something like this is completely different from a lot of the wines that I've had. I've never really had something like this before. And so with that, I'll go into telling you what I think. I mean, the smell to begin with is just knocks you off your feet. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And then I can just smell it before I drink it, to be honest.
It's gotta go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It has a huge nose, and that's what we were talking about before, where Corey was almost joking around some, but absolutely smelling the wine helps you taste it, where it's got this huge bouquet.
That, yeah.
It's like it's this crazy rose floral type nose of that bright red fruit, and that just kind of opens up the entire wine to you. As nerdy as it sounds, but that all is kind of part of it. It's part of tasting the wine, it's part of enjoying it.
What do you think, Corey?
That's good. That's what I think.
Corey's just saying, I just want to drink more. That's all Corey's saying.
Corey is definitely my girlfriend.
I don't. She's like, yeah, give me more of the. Yeah, give me more. Of this stuff. That's cool.
I'll put my poor girlfriend on blast real quick because she's fantastic, and we'll drink wine together, and she does not discriminate. She'll drink anything I put in front of her. But I was like going in one of my I have a couple like wine fridges because I'm a nerd, and I was like, do you want to drink?
Awesome.
I was like, do you want to drink like Cabernet tonight or whatever? And she's like, she yelled from upstairs, she's like, I only know 2 wines, red or white. Like, I really, just basically like, I really don't care what we open. And yeah, that's like a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the fun of it too, right? It's just enjoying yourself. So.
Corey's
Okay,
thinking we could take shots.
I got a
of wine
random
right now.
question. This is outside of I actually do smell like, I think it's like, I guess I would say like raspberry stuff, like some sort of like fruitiness for sure. And then the taste is similar to that, and I would say, it's surprisingly like when I have red wine. Typically, what I fear the most is like the dryness of it, but this is not dry at all. Which is, I don't know what creates the dryness, but or how you can find, like, if I wanted to go back and get more types of wines that weren't dried, how would I find that?
We have
Or
no
how
idea.
Could we find that?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, so
No idea. Oh, it's like, jeez.
I mean,
Of course.
you're opening a door I don't think you want to go down. Is the real answer here? But to be honest, the thing that causes dryness is the alcohol content in wine. Typically, when you get higher alcohol, you get drier wine, you get more tannin. And something we love about Rioja so much is that you get a really kind of full-bodied wine, but it's really easy drinking. It doesn't have that harsh kind of almost like you're chewing on a tissue type taste where some Cabernet from California will, where you need food. This is full enough where you said you get that bright fruit where you can have some food with it, but it's still easy enough you can drink on your own. That's why we love it so much.
Yeah, I was just like 3 quick ones to mention to avoid if you don't want a really big dry tannic wine. I would say avoid Cabernet, avoid Malbec, and avoid Shiraz from Australia. They're going to be pretty dry and kind of in your face. If you want something a little more mellow, like if you like Rioja, be like, yeah, I would go into the store and just like, can you recommend something like Rioja? And
Find me a Rioja, yeah.
they'll get you on the right track.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
So I gotta go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, for us, like Sean was saying before, our whole mantra of drink smarter, not harder. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Is you tried this wine, you realize you like it, and okay, well, I like Rioja. I don't know why, but let me go into a liquor store and tell somebody I like Rioja, and they're going to point you in a direction that gives you 3 other wines you might like as well. And so now you're just broadening your horizon to so many different things that you'll enjoy where you didn't really know that before.
For sure. No doubt.
Sorry, what were we going to say, Corey?
Oh, I have a random question. Why the hell do some of them have corks and some of them have twist off caps? It's stupid. That's a stupid
No, it's
question. Should
not.
I even not ask that? Let's cut that
Oh,
part
you
out.
not a
naive
stupid
little
question.
soul.
That-
Actually, I don't know the answer.
Okay, yeah, Nolan, why don't you answer that?
I have no clue. Go ahead.
No,
I can tell you why we have beer bottles and beer cans, but I cannot tell you why we have twist off caps. Of course.
no, we have no idea, honestly. No, I'm just going to keep answering. We don't know. Like, do you guys even drink wine? It's actually the first time I've had Rioja myself. It's pretty delicious. No, I can go if you want, but go for it. Basically, the problem I'd say ultimately with the cork long term, the idea with the cork is that they're air permeable. Air like over time will seep through that, and that will help age your wine. And so traditionally, corks have been done for hundreds of years, and there's definitely like a nostalgic, romanticized ritual of pulling a cork from a bottle. Having a screw top enclosure really allows you to control to like, you know, a finite minutia basically of like how much oxygen is going to get into that wine. Like you can actually buy or engineer a screw top where, maybe 10% of wine gets in per, whatever year over X amount of years, or none at all. And so really what that does is it's less expensive for them to buy cork because it is expensive. And it's going to make sure that your product you're producing, that the quality is on point in every bottle. There's not going to be any sort of like the cork drying out. Because like if you don't store your bottle properly, like if you don't store your bottle on its side, the cork can kind of shrink a little bit, and then you can have some wine leaking from that. So that's really it.
That, if I could add to that, that being said, if a winery's objective is to have their wine consumed within a couple years of release, a screw top is definitely a better objective. But if they want that wine to age and they want that wine to mature and they want it to be a symbol for people, and then they'll invest money into having cork because that'll help the wine age better.
Nice.
Gotcha.
But don't
I feel like I'm so smart about wine.
just don't be afraid of the screw top. Like honestly, there's some great bottles.
Like it's like, oh, this is cheap crap.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, honestly. Yeah, I thought that people who get screw top, I just like refuse the wine. Just like, no, this is not real
Like,
wine.
I'm not gonna drink this swill. Give me a Bud Light, all right? Like, quit wasting my
Get this out of
time.
my face. So Corey and I consider ourselves, or at least we're trying to consider ourselves more on the frugal side. Maybe a lot of millennials are a little bit more frugal just with all the college debt, just getting out, trying to pay off all these things. But in other words, we're not going to go out and buy a $25, $50 bottle of wine. You guys touched on this a little bit earlier of getting the great value. Also, working smarter, not harder. Drinking smarter, not harder.
Or working. Nothing wrong with working harder at it.
We're working, right. But we want to be classy, but without the price tag. And so, like, what is that remedy that you guys suggest in relation to the working or drinking smarter, not harder? Finding that good value wine for the frugal people that we are. And Corey can add on this too.
It's box wine. That's the
I'll say, you know what? I will say this though.
Get this man a beer.
I live with two people who are avid consumers of boxed wine, and it's not horrible. I'll be honest with you. It's not that bad.
Interesting.
But to answer your question, Nolan, it's really just educating yourself. It's finding out what it is you enjoy. And like the perfect example is that wine we were just drinking. That Rioja we were just drinking cost us all $12 to buy in the store.
14, yeah.
But for me, it's okay. If you're drinking a $100 bottle of wine like we've all had and you love it, why do you love it? Do you love it because it's fruit forward? Do you love it because it has high tannin? Do you love it because it's dry or it's sweet? Why do you love it? And then figure out why and go ask a professional, ask a som, ask a wine shop attendant, say, okay, I liked that wine because it had this great fruit component to it. Where can I find something that's $15 with that same character? And they'll be able to point you in the right direction.
I have a really good basketball reference I'm about to make here. So I think of it like you should. My advice would be to spend at least $10. You don't have to spend more than 15 or even 20, but at least 10. And it's almost like if you want to play in the NBA, like you should probably be 6'5". Like you don't need to be 9 feet tall to be a good player. You just need to be tall enough to
At
qualify.
least 6'5". Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So like if you're tall enough to like dunk maybe or qualify, like then you'll be good. You don't need to be 9 feet tall. So you don't need to spend $100 to enjoy yourself, but you should probably spend at least $10 because anything under that, you're going to get some not so good stuff, and it's worth.
You go like Rioja, $10-15, or this Riesling. If you're gonna try to pair with something, $10-15, you're probably gonna be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. That's good to know.
Exactly.
I heard that. I don't know where I heard this. It's probably a Netflix documentary or something like that. But anything under a $10 bottle of wine is fake wine. Is that true?
Oh, you're talking about Mega Purple.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Is that?
It's
it
not.
is a documentary.
It's not
I think it's a documentary though.
It's not necessarily fake. Like a lot of wineries will add sugar into the wine to make it taste differently, or they'll add different flavors in to make it appear to be a different type. But I'll tell you what, the difference between a $7 bottle of wine and $11 is drastically different than the difference between 11 and 15. So like you can find bottles of wine for $11 and $12 that are great. You cannot find bottles of wine for $5, $6, $7, $8 a bottle that are great. And so just spending $12 to $17 a bottle is a huge difference. And so as long as you know what you're looking for.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a third one.
Yeah, we do.
This is
I'm gonna open this thing.
This is going to be my favorite of all the ones we've had today as well.
Serious? Oh man, I'm super.
Sure, you got to pour me some.
Best for last, dude.
So
Okay, so
This one's a special cork.
Yeah.
Here, so we're gonna do this real quick.
This is, for those listeners at home, this is the first cork one that we've had so far, and not twist tap. So we're putting people to the limit here.
all right, so give me about 15 minutes. And then
yeah, we got you. While you're opening that, we'll kind of mention a couple of things. The varietal that we're consuming is going to be a grape called Gamay, and it's from a region in southern Burgundy called Beaujolais. You're never going to see the name Gamay on the bottle, so just look for Beaujolais. And
Can't read a single word on this bottle.
Yeah,
dude.
people kind of make the reference that this is like Pinot Noir's like eccentric cousin, which isn't like a terrible way to describe this if you've had Pinot recently.
Yep.
But it's one of those like catch-all again. If you're having trouble pairing it with something, this goes great for you guys. If you guys really like the Rioja, did you get
Nice,
it?
Nolan.
Did you get it open?
nice.
If you guys really like the Rioja, I'm not going to say you're not going to like this as much, but it's not nearly at all like the same style of wine. It's much earthier. It's going to have a much different flavor profile. Still a great wine though.
Earthier.
If the
Love the
Rioja
earth.
is for a Cabernet lover, this Beaujolais that we're having right now is for a Pinot Noir lover. And they're very different things and for very different times, but both absolutely delicious and both very great value-driven wines.
The nose is really funky,
Yeah,
but
that smells totally different
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
nose is super funky. But on the palate, drinking it, there's gonna be more fruit on the palate than the nose would lead you to believe.
Yeah, the previous one, the Rioja, was more strong in the smell. This one is not.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's kind of indicative of a lot of, I wouldn't say all French wine, but like, they have you hear people mention New World and Old World. It's a term that may come up once in a while. If you're thinking of Europe as a whole, you can pretty much you can classify all that as Old World. That doesn't always mean that the wine isn't going to have fruit elements, but there'll be a lot more earth involved typically, whereas wine from the New World, once again, doesn't always hold true, but there's going to be like a lot more fruit from like wine from California, South America, Australia, stuff like that.
Nice.
You guys can't see this right now, but my wife is next to me sipping this wine, and I think she took sipping a little too far. She's taking shots of this wine
Shots of this wine.
as we were drinking it. So
Tell her to drink smarter.
good on you.
Tell her to drink smarter, not harder. All right, just
Smarter, not harder.
Smarter.
smarter.
Damn.
She's too far gone.
Can't wait to get married. This is what you
Yeah,
guys
so you
do
gotta
on a
look forward
Thursday.
to.
This is great.
Did you just
Yeah.
propose? Yeah, this is like come on, this is weekly right here.
Okay, I'm gonna taste this. I haven't tasted it yet. I've been smelling it, getting the gastro.
Not the gastro, that's
You guys should have us on like once a month. We could do this on a regular basis. It'd be a great time.
I'm okay with that.
I'm sorry, I was thinking like once a week. This is much better. Oh, this is good. This is smooth.
Wait, sommeliers are not just wine aficionados, but spirits too, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's supposed to be everything wet in a restaurant
Whiskey.
is how it's defined. So it's
Everything about what?
it's supposed to be, the way that they say it is everything wet in a restaurant. So you can take that any way you want.
Are you serious?
This is a G-rated podcast.
Sommelier is not just
clean.
people that you want to beat up. They're also people that can tell you about wine and anything wet in a restaurant.
Are you guys going for the master sommelier?
I mean, maybe
And
some.
really I only know this by Netflix. So
Right,
yeah,
exactly. No,
but-
everybody's seen the Netflix documentary Somm by now, and it's
So good.
there's 4 levels. Sean and I are both level 2. We're, I'd say, studying and prepping for 3. It's probably a ways away for prepping for that and testing and actually taking that exam. The master's exam level 4 is way more extreme than they make it seem, even in that documentary. It's pretty intense the way what you have to go through.
If I got to 3, I'd be good. I would drop the mic on the way out of the test and be like, "I'm good. This is right. I'm happy with this." I don't want to do that to myself.
That's amazing.
Drop like a 1974 Rioja on the way out, or whatever that is.
Exactly. Just drop a wine key on the way out and say, "I'm done."
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about
They
this?
didn't make it in
okay, so-
1974.
Yeah. What do you guys think of this this final versus the previous two.
It's good. I think I might like it. No one's pouring more. Is that an answer? Oh. It doesn't smell as fruity to me. I guess I would say yeah. See, when you say earthy, I don't know, but comparing to the Rioja, yeah, I think I can get that. It doesn't smell as much like fruit.
Yeah.
But more just I don't even know what the heck the word is.
It's like the other ones
It's
almost
like more
smell
dense.
like Fruit Noi almost has like a sweet quality. This is like sort of the opposite.
Yeah.
It's kind of like almost dingy, like if you
Earthy.
opened up an attic in
Yeah.
your house or something.
Yeah.
You know.
I said dense. I don't know if that's a good word.
No,
That's a wine word.
I know what you
but-
mean, but yeah.
That's
yeah.
a great word. It is more of a complex wine where it makes you think a little more of what is this flavor that's going on? What is this that I'm getting? I like it, but I'm not quite sure why. And I love wines that are more complex and in depth like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's smooth. It's smooth, but yeah, I'm having like trouble like figuring out what I'm tasting. But it's super good.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
It's so good, but it's yeah.
All right, come closer to your mic too, guys. So we got a couple questions here at the end for you that we asked all of our guests. So we're going to go through those here. So kind of a fun one. You guys can play it how you want, maybe manipulate it how you think is best. But if you can make a social media post that you knew would go viral, so basically a post, something you can say that you knew, millions and millions of people would see, what would you say?
You want to field that one, or you want me to?
You go ahead. I'll give you. I'll say mine after, but you go ahead.
All right. Right away, I would just say, for me, I not trying to get too nerdy with a quote or anything like that, but just try something you've never tried before. Just I'm all about taking risks and just getting outside of your comfort zone. And I feel like so many people just get complacent with what they're doing, and they just go with the ordinary and go with their normal everyday lives. And it's like, you're never really going to know what you want to do until you try something else. And for the two of us, it was just accidental how we got into wine, and now we're both making careers out of it. And so
It's awesome.
just a field that nobody thought they could ever get into and make a profession out of, we just accidentally stumbled into. So just try something you never thought you could do before, and you'll find a way into something you love.
Yeah, that's deeper than wine, for sure.
Yeah, no, slightly.
There you go.
You're taking his.
Oh no, that's great. That sums it up. I mean,
Perfect.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. Do it, Nolan.
So, do you guys have any quotes that you are constantly thinking of, or quotes for us to ponder?
Does it have to be related to wine, or it could be anything?
It can
Anything,
be anything.
man.
Yeah, it can be anything.
Anything.
This is so random. I just got back from Washington, D.C. like 48 hours ago, and I was kind of like surrounded by all this amazing history and all these amazing people that really sort of shape the modern world that we live in and shape our country. And my favorite movie is probably JFK by Oliver Stone in like 92, because I'm a huge I have this nerdist interest in JFK and everything about JFK. And there's this line in the movie that Kevin Costner says towards the end, and he talked about JFK kind of being like Caesar surrounded by enemies, because they believe in the movie that the government basically killed JFK. So there's a Tennyson quote that he kind of twists, and it basically says, "Do not forget your dying king." And it's sort of like, do not forget this person that has your best interest, that's looking out for you as he's being killed by the enemies around him. So a lot of times I think about, I don't know why it pops in my head a lot throughout the day, but I always say to myself, like, do not forget your dying king. I don't know why. It's really random, but
That's solid, man. It's deep. That's solid. Though.
So we are the Millennial Experiment. Our idea of our podcast is to talk about some fun things, some super serious, some more fun, like us drinking wine on a podcast.
true.
And as no one pours some more. Do you have an experiment, though, that our audience can do to help break the normal routine of life? They might even be able to pull out a couple from just listening to this podcast, but do you have something specific for them that they can go, actionable step they can take?
Yeah, a couple things. Number one, like Sean and I do this thing too, is sometimes we get a little, like we catch ourselves getting a little too pretentious with wine or a little too high end with it. And so we did this thing that was called 12 under 12, and we tried to make the next 12 bottles of wine that we bought all under $12. And that was just a way to force us to find wines under value. But a way that somebody else, even if they buy value wine, can do that is say the next 10 bottles of wine that you try something you've never had before. And that's a way to try to figure out something new that you love or something you've never had before, and something you might end up really falling in love with and broadening your horizon on wine and finding something new that you are really into drinking.
Yeah, it could be $100 worth, and you might find the wine that you love forever. That's definitely fair.
The one
love it.
The one thing I'll say, I'll be very quick. Go get yourself some canned wine. Canned wines come a long way. Like
Canned wine.
yeah, you can get it like in beer cans, but go get it. And then this summer, like if you're on the lake or at the beach or going camping, just grab a couple cans and try it. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, and you'll actually have a really good time drinking out of the can. It's that whole Always Sunny in Philadelphia, putting wine in your Diet Coke can so you can gesticulate when you talk and you're not spilling it. No, but go buy.
I feel like you just tickled Corey's like redneck origins right
Yeah,
there.
like,
With canned wine.
I challenge you to go find some canned wine, buy it, drink it, and enjoy it.
Okay,
There you go.
I have to
He shows
admit
up with
at
a
the
24 rack of just canned
I have
wine.
to admit, the very end of the podcast, I grew up in Lodi on a vineyard.
Oh, there you go.
Did
I
you?
kid you not. Yes, I did. And there you go. Apparently, it didn't work. My papa would be so upset.
Yeah, no, I mean, I go get some canned wine, go to that vineyard
Okay,
and
I'm
pour
gonna
it
try
out
that.
for all your
That's
fallen
awesome.
homies.
Fallen homies. That's a California thing, man. Fallen homies.
But
is
he'd
California.
he'd also probably be so happy that now at 11 p.m. on a Thursday you're drinking Beaujolais. Like, come on, it's all full circle, brother.
Damn, that's true.
Yeah, we're not going to work tomorrow, by the way. Note that. So Matt and Sean, thank you so much for coming on. If people want to learn more about what you're doing, where to find you, where can they go?
If they want a wine pairing,
Yeah, you can check us out at millennialwinegroup.com. As far as our social goes, we're most active on Instagram. So I would say look for us at Millennial Wine Group on Instagram. And then finally, we do a podcast as well where we just put out some wine knowledge. And you can just, once again, on iTunes, Millennial Wine Group, you'll be able to find.
so if you liked what we did here and you want deeper, Millennial Wine Group podcast is the place to go.